96 years. That is how long the World Cup has existed. And in 96 years, the same basic structure held. 32 teams, 8 groups, 1 dream. That ends on June 11th, 2026. Because what FIFA has done to this tournament is not an upgrade. It is not a refresh. It is a complete reconstruction of the sport's biggest stage. And most fans have no idea what that actually means for the football they are about to watch. Before I get into the numbers, let me give you some context that makes this even more interesting. For 24 years, from 1998 to 2022, the World Cup followed the same format: 32 teams, 64 matches. A structure so familiar that fans could predict the rhythm of the tournament before a single ball was kicked. The 2026 World Cup has 48 teams, 104 matches, 3 host nations, 16 cities, and a brand new knockout round that has never existed before in World Cup history. Spain are the clear favourites to win the whole thing, priced at around plus 450 by major bookmakers as of this week. France are right behind them at around plus 475 to plus 500. England, a team most people are sleeping on, are the third favourites at plus 650. Argentina, the defending champions, are sitting at plus 900. Brazil are around plus 850. That changes everything. Because here is the reality. The tournament that crowns the next world champion will look nothing like the one that gave us Qatar 2022. And whether that is a good thing or a very dangerous thing for football, that is exactly what we are going to break down today. That's the first part of the picture. But here's where it gets genuinely complicated. The expansion to 48 teams is the most disruptive structural change in World Cup history, and it fundamentally breaks the old logic of how tournaments are won. The numbers here are stark. The 2026 World Cup will feature 104 matches. The previous format had 64. That is a 63% increase in total games, 40 extra matches in a single tournament. The tournament runs for 39 days, longer than any World Cup before it. And for the first time ever, a team that wins the whole thing will need to win 8 matches, not 7. Here is what that extra game means in practice. In football, 8 matches across 39 days at the highest intensity level is not just physically harder, it is tactically harder. Squad depth becomes the deciding factor far more than individual brilliance. The team that wins this World Cup will not just have the best 11 players, they will have the best 23. But here is the part most analysts completely skip over. And when you hear it, everything I just said becomes even more interesting. The group stage now has 12 groups of 4 teams. The top 2 from each group advance automatically. But here is the critical detail most fans miss. The 8 best third-place teams also advance. In my opinion, that single rule is the most underrated change in this entire tournament. It means a team can lose a match in the group stage, finish third in their group, and still reach the knockout rounds. That changes how coaches set up their teams from day one. Do you go for the win aggressively in every group game and risk injury? Or do you manage the squad conservatively, knowing a draw might still be enough? This tactical question will define how the entire group stage plays out. The argument in favour of the 48-team format is genuinely strong. More nations on the world stage, smaller footballing countries getting their first ever World Cup experience. This year, Curaçao, the smallest nation ever to qualify for a World Cup, with a population of just 156,000 people, will take the field alongside fellow debutantes Cape Verde, Jordan, and Uzbekistan. 4 nations writing history for the first time. That is a beautiful thing for global football. But, and this is where my argument wins, beautiful does not always mean better football. More teams means more mismatches in the group stage, more one-sided games, more matches where the quality gap between a powerhouse and a debutant is visible from the first minute. The question is whether those early-stage limitations are worth the later-stage unpredictability. In my opinion, the format expansion does not dilute the World Cup. It redistributes its power, and that is far more dangerous for the traditional favourites than most people realise. That's the first part of the picture, but here's where it gets genuinely complicated. The 2026 format does not just add more teams, It mathematically increases the probability of an underdog winning the entire tournament, and the historical evidence proves it. Think about the pattern of upsets in recent World Cups. In 2002, South Korea reached the semi-finals. Nobody saw it coming. In 2018, Croatia made the final. In 2022, Morocco became the first African nation to reach the semi-finals, beating Belgium and Portugal along the way. Each tournament, the underdog story gets bigger. Now apply that trend to a tournament with 16 more nations, an extra knockout round, and a format that rewards squad depth over star power. The numbers suggest the probability of a shock semi-finalist in 2026 is not just possible, it is the most likely outcome this tournament has ever had. What is at stake here is not just one team's reputation. This is about whether the entire structure of international football has permanently shifted in favour of the underdogs. Teams like Norway, back at the World Cup for the first time in 28 years and led by Haaland and Ødegaard, are priced at plus 3,500. Japan, who beat Germany and Spain in Qatar 4 years ago, are considered outsiders. Turkey, with Çalhanoğlu, Arda Güler and Kenan Yildiz, are flying completely under the radar. Here is the tactical reason this matters beyond the narrative. In the new format, every knockout match from the round of 32 onwards is sudden death. One bad game ends your tournament. For the favourites, Spain, France, Argentina, that means 7 consecutive must-win matches after the group stage, starting earlier in the knockout phase than ever before. The best third-placed teams advancing means that the bracket structure becomes harder to predict. A top seed could face a hot underdog in the round of 32, instead of the comfortable group runner-up they might have expected. The bracket chaos is a feature of this format, not a flaw. The counter-argument is that quality always rises to the top. Spain have Lamine Yamal and Pedri. France have Mbappe, who scored 42 goals across all competitions for Real Madrid in his debut 2024-25 season, winning the Pichichi as La Liga's top scorer with 31 goals. Argentina have Messi, Alvarez, Enzo Fernandez, and Lautaro Martinez. On paper, the best teams will handle an extra round. Based on available data, I would say that argument misses one thing. Fatigue is the great equalizer. By the time a favourite reaches the semi-finals after 7 games, a fresh underdog who scraped through the group stage and peaked in the knockout rounds can be physically sharper and tactically more dangerous. The evidence from Qatar 2022 supports this completely. Morocco peaked at exactly the right moment. My view is that 2026 will produce the most dramatic underdog story in World Cup history. The format guarantees it. Now, everything I just said, it all leads to this third point, and this is the one most people completely miss. The 3-nation hosting arrangement, USA, Canada and Mexico, introduces a variable that no World Cup favourite has ever had to navigate before. And in my opinion, it could be the deciding factor in who lifts the trophy. The 2026 World Cup spans 16 cities across 3 countries. The distances between host cities are staggering. Dallas to Toronto is roughly 2,200 kilometers. Mexico City to Seattle is over 3,500 kilometers. Teams will be flying between matches at altitudes and in climates that vary dramatically from one game to the next. Here is what that actually means. A team that plays their first group game in Mexico City, at altitude, in heat, then flies to Vancouver for their second game, then down to Miami for their third, is not just managing football tactics. They are managing jet lag, altitude acclimatization, humidity shifts, and temperature variation all within 10 days. FIFA has introduced mandatory 3-minute hydration breaks in each half of every match because of the heat risk. Research has confirmed that 14 of the 16 World Cup stadiums could exceed potentially dangerous temperature levels based on 20 years of meteorological data. FIFPro, the Global Players Union, formally recommended postponing matches if heat stress thresholds were exceeded. The geographical challenge creates a hidden tactical layer that coaches are already calculating. Teams playing in Mexico benefit from home support, altitude advantage, and a culture built around the tournament. Teams playing their knockout rounds in New York, New Jersey, the MetLife Stadium final venue on July 19th, will be playing in a completely different atmospheric and logistical environment than where they started. From what we have seen in the data, teams that travel less between matches historically perform better in tournaments. In 2026, travel distance is partly determined by where you finish in your group, which means the incentive to win your group, rather than finish second, becomes even more significant than in previous editions. My final verdict on this geography question is going to surprise you, because it is not the conclusion I expected to reach when I started putting this video together. The strong counter here is that all teams face the same geographical challenges. Spain travel as far as Argentina, France face the same heat risk as Brazil. The playing field in that sense is level. There is a strong argument that this counter is technically correct, but it misses the cultural dimension. Some squads are built for adversity and disruption. Historically, South American teams adapt better to difficult conditions. Argentina and Brazil have won in humidity and altitude before. European teams, accustomed to controlled environments and short travel windows, may be more exposed by the logistical demands of a three-nation tournament than the odds currently suggest. The geography of 2026 is not just a backdrop, it is a competitor. And most tactical analysts are not pricing it into their predictions. So, 3 points, 3 pieces of evidence. Now let's bring it all together and give you the honest verdict. Based on everything we have covered, the format revolution, the underdog equation, and the geography problem, my view is this. The 2026 World Cup is the most structurally unpredictable tournament in the history of the sport. The expansion to 48 teams does not just add more games, it reshapes the power structure of the entire competition. The new round of 32 gives underdogs more chances to build momentum. The geography of 3 host nations introduces a variable that no team has faced before at this level. And the extended 39-day tournament tests squad depth in a way that favours the teams with 23 world-class players, not just 11. Spain are the favourites. France are right behind them. England are the third choice, a team I think most people are underestimating. Argentina are the defending champions. Those are the teams most likely to win. I'm not going to tell you otherwise, but I think the honest conclusion is that the team that wins this World Cup will do so by solving problems that have never existed in a World Cup before. The heat, the travel, the extra knockout round, the bracket unpredictability. This is not the World Cup your parents watched. This is not the World Cup you grew up watching. This is something genuinely new. And whether that is football's evolution or football's gamble, that debate starts on June 11th. So here is my question to you. Do you think the expansion to 48 teams makes this World Cup better, or does it water down the quality of the competition? Is this the greatest World Cup ever? Or is FIFA taking a gamble with the sport's biggest stage? Drop your take below. I genuinely want to know where you stand on this. Before you go, one thing I want to be straight with you about. Everything I have broken down in this video is based on the best data and verified sources available at the time of making it. But football moves fast, odds shift, injuries happen, squads get announced, and sometimes, despite our best efforts, a number or a fact can be slightly off. If you spot something that does not look right, a stat, a figure, a team detail, drop it in the comments. Genuinely. I would rather be corrected by the community than have wrong information sitting in a video people trust. This channel is built on accuracy and honest analysis. That is not just a line. That is the only way I think this kind of content should be made. So if I got something wrong, tell me. I will pin it, and I will fix it.